Hello and welcome to the weekly Dharma Gathering. My name is Alex Van Gils and I am one of the hosts of Weekly Dharma Gathering. Tonight's session will be led by Martina Bouey and is titled Don't Know Mind. Martina will lead us in meditation and in a Dharma talk, and afterwards there can be an opportunity for a question-answer discussion. Tonight's session will be recorded, so if you prefer not to be seen, please turn off your camera feature. The recording of tonight's gathering can be accessed within 48 hours via your purchased products on the Vimeo Weekly Dharma Gathering account, and you'll receive an email notification once it's posted. Martina Bouey, who uses the she, her, and they, them pronouns, is a queer meditation teacher. She has practiced meditation for over 20 years and is a practitioner and teacher of the Shambhala Vajrayana Buddhist tradition. In her day job, Martina has worked on the local, national, and international level to support and provide direct resources and support to communities that have too often been neglected, underserved, and undervalued by government and society. In her free time, Martina enjoys reading, connecting to nature, and watching comedy movies. She lives with her partner in beautiful downtown Oakland, California. So thank you, Martina, for being with us, and I will turn to you.
Okay, thank you, Alex, and thank you to the Weekly Dharma group for this invitation. I'm delighted to be here tonight. So, as Alex said, my topic for this evening is Don't Know Mind. And I thought it was kind of appropriate given, where we're at this point in our year. It's kind of been like a don't know year. There's a lot we thought we knew coming into 2020. But as 2020 continues to roll, it's turning out to be that there's so much we just don't know what's happening. And I think that what's on the minds of a lot of people right now is the election and what's going to happen. And, there's a lot of energy around trying to figure out, what's next. And so I thought that was the topic of Don't Know Mind would be just kind of an interesting one to explore in the space around that. Given, like I said, the pressure to know. So, but before we start, I would like to do a welcoming practice. This practice I was taught from a senior teacher in Shambhala, Galen Ferguson, called welcoming. And I've really come to appreciate this practice during this time. When I first heard of the practice and was doing it, I was like, what is this? Like, well, I'm just kind of hanging out. But, I've been doing this more and more lately because there's so much happening. And when I come to the cushion to meditate, or I go for a meditative walk, I find like I have so much energy and there's so much going through my mind. And so having this, it's kind of like a pre-meditation that allows me to kind of fully arrive at myself before I begin a practice and kind of just help settle energy. So I would like to share this and be able to have you all do this welcoming. So to do the welcoming practice, there's not a whole lot you need to do. So, it just take a comfortable posture, a non-meditative posture, in fact, is what to take. This is kind of a non-meditation. So we're just going to be. So just kind of allow yourself to be in a space, however you feel comfortable. But again, we're not meditating, so we're not going to focus on the breath. We're not going to, maybe focus on the body. Some people may focus on an object of meditation. We're just not going to do that. What we're going to do is just allow ourselves to welcome in and tune in to how we're feeling in this moment and in this space. So we're tuning in to our body, tuning in to our emotions, the energy of our minds, and we're not trying to hold on to anything or push anything away. We're just acknowledging what's coming up for us in this moment. And if you find yourself slipping into meditation, just release that, release all techniques. There's just no technique for welcoming other than just being present to yourself at this moment. If you find yourself lost in thought, that's fine. Just come back to not only just your thoughts, but your body and the room and the space. And we're just welcoming, tuning into ourselves. Tuning into the parts of ourselves that, because of the busy day, we had to maybe put to the side or not acknowledge. And as we start to conclude the welcoming exercise, we can start to, stretch and move and just really, if there's some way in which your body would like to move that it hasn't had a chance to today, it might feel good. Feel free to kind of sink into your body, connect in. Yeah, welcoming. Again, and welcome to you all. Um, as I said, I find that this practice can be very powerful practice, and that um, we're carrying so much throughout the day, um, and that I find sometimes when I come to sit, I'm just kind of vibrating, and there's a lot happening, and so to try to just start right into meditation can be very challenging. It's just like I feel like a lot of times the first 10 or 20 minutes of my meditation these days is just the energy of the day and of the moment just kind of whirling. And so to give myself some space and to connect into that space and then go into meditation, I found that to be really helpful. So I offer that to you as it was offered to me, you know. Yeah. So for the talk this evening, you know, these are just such uncertain times. You know, I think there's a lot of pressure. It feels like there's a lot of pressure internally or externally to know. Um, and I think it feels like that's the way that a lot of us have been operating these days is I need to uh, know what's happening. I mean, even coming into 2020, I had lots of plans, you know, I had um, lots of things I was going to do this year. And as with most people, you know, almost all of that has just fallen apart. And now either you can't make plans or even if you do make plans, they fall apart. I think I probably only make plans, you know, 1 to 2 days in advance or not even really that far because everything, or I make them with these big caveats because everything is just so uncertain. Um, you know, what is the COVID situation going to be like? You know, can you even meet up with people? Will a place even be open? Can, you know, just like all, even technology, you know, tonight I was talking to a friend who lives in Boston and they're having a thunderstorm. And so power outages are happening. And so, you know, they had made plans to connect in tonight, but they can't because there's no power. So it just feels like, um, uh, you know, the time is calling for us really um, to be present, to be in the present. Um, and it actually feels like it's like demanding, you know, that we actually be here in the present moment, um, which can be really hard and really challenging um, because a lot of times we're either off in the past or in the future. And so now it's like, oh, so what is this nowness? What is this being in the now? It's a very different way of operating from being kind of future oriented. Um, but the times are not only just, you know, calling for us to be in the present, it's also calling for us to be and feel connected, you know. And so many of us have become disconnected from our bodies and our feelings and emotions. It's just feeling overwhelmed by the situation, about what's happening, um, just on so many levels. And so, you know, I definitely find myself uttering a lot like, I don't know. I don't, you know, I just do that and I laugh because I don't know what else to do. Like, what else is there to do? Um, um, and it can also, you know, feel like a time of like shutting down and switching off. Like that could feel like the safe place to be in those, you know, just like, I can't take anymore. I just got to shut it all off. And so, which can be very healthy. And so for many people, like, you know, that is definitely something need to do because there is so much coming at us on so many levels that it is hard to take it all in. And it feels like there's like a, you know, like a tsunami of information and issues and just things to deal with. You know, and things you never thought you had to deal with. I live in an apartment building that has a central laundry. And I realized earlier this summer there was a coin shortage. And I was like, well, how am I going to do laundry? I was like going around and the banks were like, sorry, we can't give you any coins. And I was like, I was like, I couldn't even, I was like, how do I problem solve this? How do I figure this out? I don't know. I don't know what to do because I need the quarters to do the laundry. And you're telling me there are no quarters. So I feel like we're being presented with things that we've just like never would have like imagined we would have to deal with in our day-to-day lives. Um, and then how to fix that. And so it's so exhausting. It's so exhausting that like every single thing, for many of us, there's like an issue that comes up that's just like, where did that come from? How do I do with that? You know, how do I, reconcile that, Um, Part of my solution was to pay my friends' kids to go into their piggy banks to give me money. I gave them a penny for every quarter they could give me. That was my solution to that problem. I was like, great, I'm taking 5-year-old quarters, because I got to do laundry somehow. So it's just like, how do we be able to navigate through all of this? And so, um, I feel like when we are shutting down in this time and things are tough, that we tend to just keep, and my tendency is definitely to just tighten up and to just, just be like, okay, shutting out everything around me, and just kind of focusing in on one thing. But I tend to also notice that when I do that is when I also start to be less creative and less connected. And so I think one of the things that's coming out of this time is asking of us is to actually do the one thing that can sometimes feel like the last thing we want to do, which is opening back up and opening up to the space, into the spaciousness, and to the awareness that is around us. Because when we allow ourselves to, to open into that space, we allow ourselves to be able to tap into energy that and creativity and ideas that we may not have ever thought of before. I think about this time and about how, the questions have been coming up like, how are we going to imagine a new world and a new society? And what is that going to look like? And how are we going to do that? And if we either think we already have the answers or we're disconnecting from the space around us, the people around us, then we are going to start to severely limit our ability to be able to come up with new and kind of out of the box answers. I mean, I definitely don't have any answers myself, but I can feel the difference when I'm facing problems and issues is when I'm closed in or when I'm allowing myself to open out and connect into the energy of the space around me. And that can be going for a walk, that can be taking a shower, it could be cooking, it could be running, it could be exercising, but allowing and acknowledging that there is more to what's happening than just our kind of closed offness. Just the other day, I realized that I hadn't been out the house in like a week, or maybe it was like 5 days. I work from home, so I'm in the house all day, and then I can get into this rhythm of being in the house all day working, and then go from that to dinner, and then that to evening activities, which is usually like Netflix or reading or something, and then going to bed. And there was like a rhythm to that. And then, like I noticed myself, I was just like, I was starting to even physically feel like kind of stiff and stuck. And I was just like, what's going on? What's happening? Like, I need to, I'm feeling stuck. And then I realized like, oh, I hadn't been out of the house in, 5 days. And it's just crazy to me also like how during this time, like before COVID, I would always be out the house. It would be the opposite. It would be like I was never in the house. And now I'm like always in the house. and I realized like it took some energy and some doing to like get myself up and get out. And then when I did, I was just like, oh my gosh, just like the sky above me, the ground, you know. I live near a lake, so there's like a beautiful lake connecting to the birds and the animals and that just activity, and just feeling and walking in that spaciousness of that area, um, really allowed for some things to just like open up, and for me to connect and to remember that there's something more to connect to than just what is in my head. And so that's kind of what I really wanted to kind of talk about tonight was, you know, that spaciousness that's always there and always waiting for us to connect to. And so I would like to do another kind of short meditation exercise around that, around feeling and connecting to and opening up to the spaciousness around us. So this time I will ask you to take your meditation posture. And whatever that means for you, whether you're sitting or laying down, whatever works for you. For me, I'm in a chair, so I'm sitting with my feet on the ground. And I invite you, if you like, to place your hands on your knees, if that's comfortable for you. And for those who meditate with their eyes open, which may be different for some people in the Shambhala tradition, that's our basic technique, is to have our eyes open but slightly kind of downcast. Not really staring at anything in particular. And just feel your body breathing. So you may feel the breath moving through in and out of your nose. The rise and fall of your chest for some people, or your belly. And if you're sitting or laying down, feel yourself how you're connected to the earth. Notice if you have any tension anywhere. Sometimes we hold it in our stomachs, or and our feet. Check in with our back or our shoulders. And expand out a bit and connect in with your environment, the space you are in. Feel the air on your skin. Might be cool or warm. You might feel a breeze. We're just starting to expand our awareness out just a little bit. To sounds that are happening around you. Maybe birds or neighbors talking, a dog barking. So we're meditating and feeling our bodies breathing. And also with our awareness, sensing into the space around us. What we hear, what we smell, what we're seeing. The taste in our mouth. And all of that's with a light touch. You find yourself thinking, that's okay. Come back to your feeling of your body breathing. And then expand your awareness back out to the space. Not sure if you could hear that bell, but we'll slowly end our meditation and come back into the space together. Feel free to move and stretch as you need to. And so I just wanted to say a little bit, before we close about, the technique of kind of expanding out into awareness. And as you're practicing, as we all know, meditation is a practice. And there's a lot of tools in that to really help us to be able to open up and connect out. And, doing a practice where you have a particular focus, or as they use the term objective meditation, such as your breath or your body, and you're placing your mind on that. So that's kind of like the mindfulness aspect of that. But then also being aware of your environment at the same time. So the mindfulness and awareness that goes hand in hand. And this is a skill that we already have. We do it all the time, so many ways. When we're driving, we're kind of, we're in the car and we're driving. So our mind, we're hopefully paying attention to the road and the car before us. But then we're also aware of the environment, right? You have to be aware of who's behind you, on the side of you, what's happening, pedestrians. So we already have this skill of focusing on one thing, and then also being able to expand out into the space around us at the same time. And so being able to practice that in your meditation can be really helpful for connecting out, or just like, I feel stuck. The stuckness feels like the only thing that's happening right now. How can I also feel, I could still feel the stuckness and the spaciousness. It doesn't have to be an either or situation. It can be both. They both exist. But the stuckness doesn't have to feel like it's the only thing. It doesn't have to be the thing that is kind of ruling the show. Remembering that there's some room to move into space, and that the space around that is really important. Especially when there's a lot of uncertainty and you're not clear, and it can feel like you're going in circles. Especially when I feel like I'm going in a lot of circles, and I'm just kind of, I call it like wearing my own self out. I'm just like, and then this, and this. I'm like, but I don't know. To say like, all right, let me get some air and some space into that. And so being able to practice that with in meditation is so helpful for when those situations arise, and we're arising in our day-to-day life, and we tend to sometimes forget, that there's a whole universe out there. There's a moon and the stars in the sky, that, and that it's bigger than just what is happening here in that moment, and that we can connect to that energy of our ancestors and of the earth, especially that, like the earth energy is so powerful. And so being able to kind of connect into that, and then see what happens and arises, and what arises out of that. So I'll see if there's any questions. Otherwise, I will hand it over to the wonderful Alex.
Thank you.
No questions, but thank you very much. for the practice.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Martina, for leading us today, and for these very good and important reminders of the universe that is out there, the moon and the stars and the whole entire world, when we're stuck in these cyclical moments that you were talking about. So thank you everyone for joining us for tonight's weekly Dharma gathering, or to those of you watching in the future. Please do join us for next week's gathering, which will be an open community sit led by Ashley Dinges. You can find more information about that on our website. Consider becoming a subscriber if you're not already. We have a 7-day free trial that you can find on our website, so tell your friends. And in addition, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Weekly Dharma and Facebook at Weekly Dharma Gathering. So once again, Martina, thank you so much for your teaching and for leading us in practice. And I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.
So good night, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday.
You too.